If you want Ed, he's not here. He's not with me. I don't work with him anymore. I'll never work with him again.
After years of restoring cars and striking deals on Wheeler Dealers, Mike Brewer, the longtime face of the show, is finally speaking out. He's opening up about the 5 co-stars he didn't enjoy working with. From heated arguments behind the scenes to bad attitudes and major fallout, Mike's got stories we've never heard. So, who made the garage feel like a war zone? And why did some of these partnerships crash and burn? Let's dive in and find out. But first, who is Mike Brewer and what is he all about? The man who turned wrenches into ratings. Mike Brewer is a well-known name among car lovers around the world. He's not just a car dealer, he's also a friendly and fun TV presenter, best known for hosting Wheeler Dealers on the Discovery Channel. Mike turned his passion for cars into a successful career in both the TV and automotive industries. Mike was born in 1964 in Lambeth, England. He grew up in a family that loved cars, especially his father, Roger Wilkes, who enjoyed customizing vehicles. One of Roger's cars, a Ford Popular called Mr. Popstar, made a big impact on young Mike. Watching his dad work on cars sparked Mike's early interest, and soon he caught the car bug too. His first car, a beige Mini 850cc, gave him the sense of freedom that only a first car can. That was the beginning of his lifelong journey in the world of cars. His big break came in 2003 when the Discovery Channel asked him to host Wheeler Dealers. The show's idea was simple, but fun. Buy old or broken cars, fix them, and sell them for a profit. Mike handled the deals, while Ed China, his co-host and a talented mechanic, did the repairs. The mix of car tips, fun repairs, and Mike's bargaining skills made the show a hit with fans across the globe. Over time, Wheeler Dealers became one of the most loved car shows on TV. But in 2017, Ed China left the show because of disagreements over production changes. Fans were sad, but the show continued with a new co-host, Ant Anstead. Mike and Ant worked well together, and the show remained popular. Mike didn't stop there. In 2013, he created Wheeler Dealers, trading up, where he traveled the world, starting with cheap cars and trading up to more valuable ones, aiming for a supercar. Fans enjoyed seeing Mike make deals in different countries and cultures. In 2020, Mike launched another spin-off, Wheeler Dealers Dream Car, with mechanic Mark Elvis Priestley. This time, the focus was on helping regular people trade up from their current cars to the vehicles they had always dreamed of owning. These stories added a touching and emotional twist to the usual car deals. Outside of TV, Mike runs a successful car dealership called Mike Brewer Motors, based in Sheffield. The dealership has earned a strong reputation and was even nominated for a top award in 2022. Mike also created the Used Car Awards to celebrate the best used car dealers in the UK. In 2004, Mike won a Royal Television Society Award for being a top on-screen personality. It showed how much people enjoy his natural charm and genuine love for cars. Outside of work, Mike enjoys a happy family life. He is married to his wife, Michelle, and together they live in Warwickshire, central England. They have one daughter, and Mike often speaks about how important his family is to him. Despite his fame and travel schedule, he values spending time at home and staying grounded. Mike Brewer has become more than a car show host. He's a businessman, mentor, and a positive force in the car world. Along the way, he has clashed with a few people who have worked with him. But whispers remain and questions linger. Who were these people and what really went wrong? If you're curious, stay tuned. The truth is just around the corner. Ed China. For over a decade, Mike Brewer and Ed China were a dream team on the hit car restoration show Wheeler Dealers. Week after week, fans watched as Mike hunted down classic cars, and Ed brought them back to life with skillful repairs and upgrades. Their on-screen chemistry was strong, and viewers around the world saw them as the perfect match. Mike, the wheeling and dealing host, and Ed, the quiet, brilliant mechanic. But behind the scenes, things weren't as smooth as they looked. While the show continued to gain popularity, the two men were slowly growing apart. What started as a partnership based on shared passion turned into a quiet conflict filled with creative tension, miscommunication, and, eventually, distance. By 2017, the duo had split, and fans were left shocked and confused. The turning point came when Wheeler Dealers moved its production to the United States. Discovery Channel, the network behind the show, wanted to make changes. They believed the audience would enjoy a quicker pace, more deals, and less time in the garage. But that idea didn't sit well with Ed. To him, the heart of the show was the workshop, the place where viewers could learn how classic cars were fixed step by step. Cutting that down, he felt, would ruin the essence of Wheeler Dealers. Mike, however, didn't seem to mind the direction the show was heading. He had always focused more on the buying, selling, and storytelling side of things. As a seasoned car dealer and TV host, Mike knew how to keep things exciting for a broader audience. He was open to change, eager to keep the show fresh. That difference in thinking created a quiet wall between the two men. Ed tried to push back. He wanted the technical parts to stay detailed and educational. He believed that fans watched the show not just for entertainment, but to truly understand how cars worked. When Discovery refused to budge, Ed made a tough choice. He walked away. In March 2017, Ed China announced his departure from Wheeler Dealers, saying that he could no longer support the changes being made. He explained to his fans that the new producers wanted to shorten the repair segments, which would save time and money, but remove the soul of the show. It was clear that Ed felt disappointed and frustrated, even though he tried to stay calm and respectful in his message. What happened next took everyone by surprise, including Mike Brewer. Angry fans blamed Mike for Ed's departure. They believed he had pushed Ed out or had chosen fame and profit over friendship and authenticity. Social media exploded with hate. Sadly, the abuse went too far. Mike and his family received death threats and disturbing messages online. Mike later said that this was one of the hardest times in his life. His wife and daughter were hurt and scared, all because of a TV show and a misunderstanding. Ed, to his credit, quickly stepped in and told fans to stop attacking Mike. But the damage had already been done. Mike was deeply shaken, not just by the hate, but by the silence between him and Ed. Though they had always insisted they weren't enemies, the truth was they were no longer friends. Mike tried to clear the air by saying there was no real fight between them, just a disagreement about how the show should be made. Still, his tone in later interviews hinted at something more. He admitted that they were no longer close and even said he wished they were still mates. That one sentence spoke volumes. It showed that the bond had been broken, and maybe not by one big event, but by years of slow-building frustration. Privately, many believe Mike had started to dislike working with Ed long before the split. While Ed was deeply focused on technical accuracy, Mike was more about keeping the energy high and the viewers entertained. Their personalities, once complementary, began to clash. Ed's calm, careful approach may have started to feel too slow for Mike, especially as the show's fame grew and expectations rose. And Mike's willingness to go along with production changes likely made Ed feel unsupported. Ed later gave fans an honest update on his YouTube channel, Ed China's Garage. He didn't go into personal drama, but he made it clear he wasn't thrilled with how things ended. He said Mike wasn't his favorite person right now, and he knows for sure he is not Mike's favorite person too. His words were calm, but they made the truth impossible to ignore. These two men, once a team, had grown apart, and neither seemed eager to patch things up. Despite the fallout, both have moved on. Ed has focused on his YouTube channel, creating in-depth videos about car repairs and engineering in the way he always wanted to. His fans appreciate the detailed work, and he's building a strong following again, this time completely on his own terms. Mike, on the other hand, continued Wheeler Dealers with a new co-host, first Ant Anstead and now Mark Elvis Priestley. The show recently celebrated its 20th anniversary, and Mike remains proud of its success. But even with new mechanics and new episodes, the shadow of Ed China still lingers for many fans. Some wonder if Mike ever truly wanted Ed to stay. His willingness to embrace the new format, his lack of public support when Ed raised concerns, and his quick shift to new partners suggest that Mike may have been ready for a change. While he may have missed their friendship on a personal level, he seemed professionally unbothered by the breakup. To some viewers, it felt like Mike had grown tired of Ed's style and was quietly relieved to move on. Today, Mike and Ed both stand in different corners of the car world. They haven't had a public reunion, and chances are they won't. Their paths, once so tightly connected, have now taken different roads. And while fans still hope for a reunion, the truth seems simple. Sometimes, even car guys who made magic on screen just can't ride in the same vehicle forever. Mark Priestley. When Mark Elvis Priestley joined Wheeler Dealers, fans were excited. The former Formula One mechanic brought a fresh energy to the show, and his technical know-how gave the series a new layer of credibility. Partnered with longtime host Mike Brewer, it looked like the perfect team, two experienced car lovers, each bringing something different to the table. On the surface, it all seemed smooth. Mike handled the buying and selling with his usual confidence and charm, while Mark worked his magic in the garage. Together, they restored classic cars, went on global adventures, and co-hosted spin-off shows like Wheeler Dealers, Dream Car, and World Tour. The audience enjoyed the episodes, and both men spoke publicly about how much fun they were having. But behind the camera, things may not have been as perfect as they appeared. From the very beginning, some fans noticed a shift in the show's tone. Mark Priestley, with his sleek TV presence, professional polish, and calm confidence, didn't come across as a sidekick. He looked like a star in his own right. He wasn't just a mechanic in the background, as many viewers had described Ed China or Ant Anstead at times. Instead, Mark had charisma, depth, and a calm, authoritative way of explaining repairs that made him stand out. And that's where the rumors began. Some sources claimed that Mike Brewer, after so many years as the show's central personality, began to feel threatened. While Mike had always played the leading role, finding the cars, talking to sellers, and guiding the show's narrative, Mark's rising popularity among fans was hard to ignore. His background in Formula One made him respected in the car world, and his calm, professional vibe gave him instant credibility with new viewers. Over time, whispers began to spread that Mike didn't enjoy working with Mark as much as he claimed. People started to pick up on awkward glances, stiff body language, and moments where Mike seemed to talk over Mark or cut his explanations short. In interviews, Mike praised Mark, but some felt his compliments sounded forced, like he was trying a little too hard to appear positive. Even though they said all the right things publicly, fans began to wonder, was Mike Brewer feeling outshined by Mark Priestley? The speculation grew louder when fans noticed how much screen time Mark was starting to get. His calm teaching style and deep mechanical knowledge became one of the show's main attractions. He didn't just repair cars, he explained why he was doing things. His F1 background gave his words extra weight, and his quiet confidence had some viewers calling for him to lead a show of his own. Some insiders said that Mike started to feel like he was being pushed into the background of his own series. For a presenter who had carried Wheeler Dealers for nearly 2 decades, that was a hard pill to swallow. There were even quiet rumors from within the production crew that Mike began questioning some of Mark's choices, not because they were wrong, but because they drew too much attention to Mark's talent. One source claimed that tension started to build off-camera. The friendly banter and jokes that viewers saw on TV weren't always present when filming stopped. Instead, there was a sense of distance. 2 professionals doing a job, but no longer sharing a bond. The speculation hit its peak when the show's tone subtly shifted in later episodes. Viewers who had followed the show closely for years noted that the chemistry felt off. It wasn't as warm. The smiles didn't seem as natural. Mike appeared slightly uncomfortable in scenes where Mark received praise or applause from workshop guests or fans. Was it all just a coincidence? Or was Mike starting to feel like his co-host had become a little too popular? To be fair, Mike Brewer never publicly admitted to disliking Mark. In fact, he continued to say positive things about him in interviews. But even those comments raised eyebrows. At times, his compliments seemed overly professional, more like statements in a press release than the kind of enthusiastic praise he once gave to Aunt Anstead, whom he called a mate and like a brother. Mark, on the other hand, remained his usual calm self. He didn't feed into the rumors. He stayed professional, rarely commenting on the behind-the-scenes politics of the show. If there was friction, he kept it quiet. Still, fans couldn't help but notice that Mark seemed more comfortable in YouTube appearances or other side projects, places where he could shine on his own without being boxed in as just the mechanic. Eventually, as the seasons moved forward, the tension became too much to ignore. While there was no big announcement, no public fallout, and certainly no harsh words, viewers sensed a shift. Episodes featuring Mark became fewer. Mike began speaking more about new directions for the show, focusing on fresh starts and new energy. Many believed this was his way of slowly moving on from a dynamic he was no longer comfortable with. In the end, Wheeler Dealers kept rolling, but the chapter with Mark Elvis Priestley closed quietly, without much explanation. Just a subtle fade, as if the show wanted to move past the rumors without addressing them head-on. To this day, the real story behind Mike Brewer and Mark Priestley's relationship remains something of a mystery. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. Mark Priestley left his mark on Wheeler Dealers. His skill, presence, and poise raised the bar. And even if some believe Mike Brewer didn't enjoy working alongside him, Mark's legacy on the show speaks for itself. Paul Brackley. For longtime fans of Wheeler Dealers, names like Mike Brewer and Ed China are legendary. As the show's original duo, Mike hunted down bargain vehicles while Ed brought them back to life in the garage. But behind a few key episodes, another figure quietly played a role: Paul Brackley, a skilled mechanic and close friend of Ed China. Though he was never a co-host, Brackley's presence brought depth, expertise, and authenticity to the show's most complex restorations. Brackley wasn't in the spotlight, but when he did appear, viewers noticed. He stepped in during tough rebuilds, offered expert support, and earned Ed's clear trust. That close friendship with Ed may have made his presence a bit more complicated, especially as tensions behind the scenes reportedly grew between Ed and the show's producers. In 2017, Ed China left Wheeler Dealers citing creative differences. He didn't agree with the producers' decision to cut down the detailed repair segments that fans loved. Ed walked away from the show, and the fallout was intense. Fans were upset, and many blamed Mike Brewer, even sending him and his family online threats. Despite Ed's public request for fans to stop the hate, the divide between viewers and the show's direction deepened. Amid this, Paul Brackley's appearances gained a new layer of meaning. Loyal to Ed and part of the original Garage Circle, Brackley became a symbol of the old days, the days when the show focused more on deep, hands-on restoration than fast fixes and flashy edits. While Brackley had appeared before Ed's exit, his presence after the fallout was limited. This led to speculation. Was Mike Brewer uncomfortable keeping someone so closely tied to Ed around? There's no public evidence that Brewer and Brackley clashed. Mike has never spoken badly of him, but fans noticed that Brackley was never invited to become a regular part of the show. Despite his talent and connection to the audience, he faded into the background. Some believed Brewer wanted a clean break, a fresh team, a new tone, and fewer reminders of the show's earlier era. Others believed Brackley simply wasn't interested in fame. He wasn't a host or performer. He was a technician, a man who preferred turning wrenches over turning up on camera. Still, in a show as closely watched as Wheeler Dealers, his quiet departure raised questions. To some, Brackley seemed like a man caught in the middle, loyal to Ed, but not part of the post-Ed future. The mystery remains. Brackley never spoke out. Brewer never addressed it directly. Yet, in that silence, fans found room for speculation. Paul Brackley may never have been front and center, but his brief role left a lasting impression, a symbol of the show's golden era, and a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful contributions come from those who say the least. Frank Stevenson. In 2017, Wheeler Dealers featured a standout episode that brought legendary car designer Frank Stevenson into the spotlight. Known for his work on iconic vehicles such as Ferraris, McLarens, the Mini, and the Fiat 500, Stevenson's appearance elevated the show's prestige. The episode centered on the restoration of a 1995 Ford Escort RS Cosworth, a car Stevenson had originally helped design. His involvement transformed the project from a standard restoration into a rare opportunity to revisit and complete his original vision. One of the episode's highlights was Stevenson revealing a never-before-seen design detail: a third wing element on the rear spoiler that had been scrapped from the production model. This aerodynamic addition, intended to boost downforce, was reconstructed and tested in a wind tunnel with the help of Ant Anstead, the show's mechanic at the time. Anstead showed clear excitement and respect for Stevenson's expertise, fully embracing the chance to bring the design to life. While viewers were thrilled by the collaboration, many noticed a subtle shift in the show's dynamic. Host Mike Brewer, usually the dominant personality, seemed more reserved than usual. Though he performed his role professionally, asking questions and engaging with Stevenson, some fans sensed he wasn't as enthusiastic or comfortable. Many people believed that Brewer, typically the leading authority on the show, may have felt slightly overshadowed by Stevenson's global reputation and undeniable authority in car design. However, there were no signs of conflict between the two men. Brewer publicly praised Stevenson, calling him a genius, and Stevenson spoke positively about his time on the show. Still, fans noted that Stevenson never appeared on Wheeler Dealers again, despite the episode's success and the excitement it generated. The contrast between the two men may explain their one-off collaboration. Brewer is a seasoned trader and presenter, skilled at finding deals and making cars market-ready. Stevenson, on the other hand, is an artist and engineer, more at home in design studios and aerodynamic labs. Though both are passionate about cars, they approach them from vastly different angles. Despite any behind-the-scenes differences, the episode was a memorable moment in the show's history. It offered fans a rare blend of hands-on craftsmanship and high-level design insight. Frank Stevenson's presence reminded viewers of the power of original vision in car creation, while Mike Brewer provided the platform for that vision to shine, whether or not it meant stepping slightly out of the spotlight. Ant Anstead. When Ed China left Wheeler Dealers in 2017, the show faced a turning point. Ed had been with the series from the beginning, and his departure left a gap that many fans thought couldn't be filled. But Mike Brewer introduced a new co-host, Ant Anstead, a former police officer turned car builder and TV presenter. Ant had charm, technical skills, and a confident presence that quickly won over audiences. On screen, he seemed like a natural fit. But behind the scenes, rumors began to spread that not everything was as smooth as it looked. From the start, Ant brought fresh energy to the show. He had a calm and clear way of explaining complex car repairs and connected well with viewers, especially in the United States. Some fans even began to suggest that Ant was outshining Mike Brewer, a shift that didn't go unnoticed. Online forums, fan pages, and interviews began to hint at tension. Whispers suggested that Mike wasn't happy with how quickly Ant was becoming the face of the show. Although Mike publicly praised Ant, calling him talented and hardworking, some viewers noticed moments on screen that felt off. Mike sometimes seemed to cut Ant short or dominate the spotlight. As their partnership developed, the speculation only grew. While the pair worked professionally on screen, insiders and sharp-eyed viewers believed there was quiet competition behind the scenes. Ant's rising fame in the U.S. seemed to create an imbalance, and Mike, known for his strong personality, may not have liked sharing the spotlight. In 2020, things took another turn. The show's production announced it was moving back to the UK. Ant, who had built a life in the US with his young son, chose to leave rather than relocate. Officially, his departure was about family and geography, a father putting his child first. But fans couldn't help but wonder if there was more to the story. Mike addressed the change, stating there was no drama or falling out. Yet his farewell lacked the emotional depth fans had expected. Compared to his past comments about Ant, his tone was more reserved. That coolness only added fuel to the speculation that tension had been brewing. Ant never spoke badly of Mike, and he went on to find success with other TV projects in America. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.